at school and tell me about this and I got pieces of future carpets and stuff. I think I did that part-time title, it's just not out.
There's a lot of history resources that are already out there, but they just feel chaotic and it feels like you can't feel attached to them. This is a good resource because it's a history that you can feel a part of. You can feel like you've been to a demo and you've linked in with something bigger, whereas, you know, if it's a medieval history archive, you just look at it and it makes very little personal sense. It could have any political perspectives and be useful. I think that this one is good because it is very much based in the lives of common people.
We've now catalogued 10 collections, and some of them are very sizable collections. Some of them, the Cooper collection's about 6 boxes, the Baird collection's about 4 boxes. So we've got, the Miller collection is 37 bags of memorabilia, you know. So there's tons of stuff and it all has to get scanned and categorised and put onto the website, so that's it. But once it's there, anybody in the world can look at it, can read it, you know. Absolutely fantastic to be able to do that. It's a big project, but it's really important because we found that some people came through and couldn't access material that they wanted for their research. Anarchists in Edinburgh had come through and various people, and internationally important material, Guy Aldred and Ethel MacDonald, is still in boxes but not itemised, and we really need to get into that and get all that sorted. So even if our project only lasts a year or 2 years, if we can sort out what's already donated to the Mitchell as well as all the stuff that we've got, I mean we've got hundreds times more of what the Mitchell's got, we can get all that accessible online, scanned in its original format for people to take, you know, use. And it means that anarchism isn't a hidden, silent thing. It's actually being preserved, it's valued, and it's a toolkit for the future, basically. That's what we hope for this, you know. McClellan collection, mostly books, big anarchist books on like Kropotkin and what are the other ones? A lot in cinema, alternative cinema, West End Grimes, and a whole load of like one-off wee Glasgow publications. Paisley Gutter Press, there's about 4 or 5 issues of that, which are in tatters, but we've got them. So there's a whole load of stuff in the Bratach too. That was in the library that had been deposited in the 1980s. And we knew of it through one of the activists who'd put it in. So what we've done is we've gone through the whole thing now, we've catalogued it, it's being scanned, and it'll all go up onto the website and people everywhere can read it. And there's quite a lot of that is in the exhibition downstairs, all the pamphlets and things. A lot of that comes from the Bratach Du collection. We've got the Charlie Baird collection. It's a smaller collection, mostly books, but some photographs and all that. But it's all around Barrowfield Free School in Glasgow. This was a mostly book collection, but here it was coming to an archive. So we argued that it was important to keep Bratach Du, to keep the Charlie Baird collection together, because keep all the books, all the photos, because here was a free school, you know, that informed the practice of those activists in that school, and the kids were learning from that. So I mean, that was an important thing, not to break up the books from the photographs. Let's look at other ways of preserving this that keeps it as a body of work and really explains to people how this activist got this idea to do the things that they did. The Miller collection is a huge, 37 bags of history, from the 1960s onwards. The Cooper collection is fantastic local history. It covers mostly Castle Milk area, and it covers some occupations that you'll have heard of, the Netherton School occupation, but it also covers a lot of direct action, and it's memorabilia from the direct action, so it's things like legal papers when people have been charged. It's information, news clippings from the newspapers. It's minutes of, there's not a lot of minutes because they don't actually keep a lot of minutes. The way anarchist meetings are held, you wouldn't really have a lot of stuff like that, but we have some data about the how the action was conceived and stuff, and that was all around the miners' strike, that kind of material. But it goes from there right through to international anarchist conferences in Spain and Barcelona, to how they generated support for fundraising around all these activities and things. So there's a lot of material in there that's of interest even for other people, new generations of people that want to do things. If you're going to occupy a building, what are your rights? What can you do? So on, there might be things like that we can help with. But there's a whole grapevine out there with that information anyway, but we've got hard copies of some of that. A lot to do with housing in John's as well. A lot to do with direct action from tenants on housing issues. Some of their campaigns around that were camping outside the housing office till they got justice and stuff like that. Totally direct action, just people coming up, ordinary people coming up with ideas and carrying them out till they got a successful resolution. So that's the Cooper collection. A collection that I should tell you about is a wonderful collection. We had a letter from a woman in New Zealand who had been the partner of a Glasgow man, and he had recently died 3 years ago, and the letter was to say that her partner had been an anarchist in Glasgow, and she had a lot of he'd written poetry, and she had a lot of his poems and this whole amount of stuff, and it was fantastic. He had been a conscientious objector in the Second World War, and as a young man had went to prison for it, and he was in Berlin and in Sochten, and during the time, he was in for about 11 months, the prison gives you a single piece of paper a fortnight that you're allowed to write your letter home on. So he had kept all these letters which we've got in the collection, and it's all Dear Mum and Dad, and it's everything that had happened to him while he was in prison, and then the days that he was getting transferred to the other prison and what it was like, and how he was working in the sack room where they did a lot of stitching and all this kind of thing, and then how he's looking forward to getting out. And there's quite a lot of chat in the letters about other comrades and people that he knew that had also were doing time for conscientious objection and stuff, and it's just fantastic. You read these letters and it just takes you right there, to him. So it included a lot of his life history in it, things like his job application references, and different certificates for courses that he'd completed in New Zealand. And so you've got this whole anarchist life all in a little package through the mail, and so that has become the Oliver collection and Alan Burnett's life, and fantastic. So that's useful to all sorts of people. These letters are useful to people who are researching institutions, the ways prisons work, the ways institutions impact on people's lives and so on. And that material, just looking at the way they don't even spell his name right on the letters when they give you the bit of paper, your name's already filled in, they didn't even get it right, and all this kind of thing. So it's great, you know. But John Cousin would be able to tell you a lot more.
My own way of thinking it was that there was an awful lot of stuff out there that told a story, but it was lying under beds and in drawers and polybags, and then houses get cleaned out and it ended up in a skip, and so a whole history was being wiped out. And I thought, that's wrong, we've got to collect our history, and so tried various ways, and then I got together with a couple of people and we decided that this was the route to go, and that's what we've done. We're now collecting it in the Mitchell, cataloguing it so that it'll end up in the Mitchell catalogue, putting it on the website. It'll be easily accessible to the general public, but it will always remain the property of the Spirit of Revolt group. It will not become the property of the City Council or the Mitchell Library. It's only housed here, but it is the Spirit of Revolt's collection. So the people that deposit it have a right to it at any time.
And how long has it taken, do you think, to get to this, to get to the exhibition?
Well, I would say there's about 2.5, 3 months solid research, writing, falling out with each other, putting it together again, trying again, and eventually ending up with what I think is a good exhibition.
And how does the exhibition fit into the Spirit of Revolt?
Well, I think it's an essential part, because the whole idea of the Spirit of Revolt is not to collect stuff, put it on a shelf and say, well, that's that. The idea is to connect with the public, and you need exhibitions, you need a website, you need ways of reaching so that they come in, look, ask, and eventually link up with their history, not anything else, just the history of the organisation. There's been one or two said, I've got stuff like that I could maybe bring in. So obviously there's a lot of this stuff out there. People collect it and don't think it's worth much, but it is. It's a story. It's a story of the history of the organisation, and we've got to get it in. We've got to get it sorted out in some sort of order, and we've got to let the people get access to it. And I hope that they can link up again with the struggle that they've been involved in, even though they may not know. And I think that it's a section that the library hasn't really touched. They don't have an extensive cataloguing of anarchist, community, libertarian stuff, and we're actually enriching the library by doing this. This is a section that's growing because we're there, and it's an authentic history. It's not a tampered history. It's material coming in from people who have been involved in actual working class struggle.
And where did the name come from, Spirit of Revolt?
A rather heated debate in a cafe where various titles bandied about, and we eventually settled on Spirit of Revolt, as it had a history going back to the Potkin and various other struggles.
Do you think the archive will have any impact on anarchism in Glasgow?
I think it must, and it is actually, because there are people coming forward from the movement and saying, oh, a good idea, I've got stuff. And obviously as it grows, it becomes a resource that everybody can use, and it puts up the true face of anarchism. The struggle, the working class going on to improve conditions, and that's what anarchism is all about. From pamphlets, leaflets, badges, newspaper cuttings, banners, things that tell a story, plus the people's own accounts, letters, postcards, anything that's linked to their history in that struggle, and it's just drawn together.
And do you just collect from people in Glasgow?
No, mainly Glasgow, Clydeside area is what we're trying to restrict it to, but we don't throw away anything. You know, if we can't use it, we'll try and find a home in some other collection.
Is any of the collection of interest internationally, would you say? Or is it all local politics?
It's local politics is not local. Local politics is linked internationally. I mean, the struggle is the same in France as it is in Germany, as it is in Greece, as it is here, as it is in America. So what we're doing is of interest to people in other areas, just as what they're doing should be of interest to us. It's the same struggle, and we have to link up.
And would you say the stuff that is coming in is dead history, or do you think...
Oh, there's no such thing as dead history. It's an ongoing story. It's an ongoing history. The people that are doing things are linked to the people that have done things, and the people that are coming will continue to do things to try and improve the conditions of the ordinary people. It's a living history.
It's a very good exhibition. It's not the kind of exhibition you see in your normal museums, etc. It's not the kind of history we taught at school. So it's good that this kind of stuff is not locked away and it's brought out for people to see.
Okay, I've been volunteering here for several days during this week, different shifts, and I've been really enthused by the reaction from people. There's been a lot of really intelligent comments being inquiries about specific periods. People who just want to sound off themselves about their own little recollections from a variety of political standpoints. But people who've been self-educated. This morning I was speaking to a guy who's in the SPGB, self-educated in his 70s now. And he's been through all that, and it was just a real tonic to people like that to see this stuff displayed. So many people I can almost hardly remember how many. There was one example I didn't actually take to myself, but a 90-year-old guy, been in the Second World War, conscripted to fight in Italy, didn't actually use any arms at all, and he was asking for a poem to be copied, a really meaningful poem, probably to pass on to relatives. So. Just one of these great examples from this week, and people now know about the Spirit of Revolt. They know that material can be passed on and archived, and I've got a sense of what we're doing.
mountains.